Hello, everyone, and welcome to Closures. So, JavaScript allows writing a function inside another function. So, you can write as many inner functions as you want. And if inner functions access the variables of outer functions, then it is called a closure. So, let's take this and go look at it somewhere. So, we've got an outer function, and we have this variable inside the outer function. And then we have this inner function. And this inner function is accessing this variable that is inside the outer function. It's doing something to it. Huh? And the outer function is returning inner function, which means even on the outside, we have access to this inner function that has access to something inside outer function. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. Hello?
Hi.
I think so.
You think so?
I'm trying to.
Yeah. Let me go and look for some other function we've written. You see, in most of the functions that we write, you write a function, get all countries. Get all countries is just called like that. This one doesn't even return anything. Maybe some other ones, some other days will return an object or return an array of, some value out there. And we call the function, it gives us that value, and that's the end. You understand? That's the end. But the difference between all these other functions we've been writing and this one is that we are now looking at a single instance. So outer function has this variable in it called count. And it has another function inside, inner function, that does something to count. And it's not really returning. Oh, shit. I'm coming. Just a moment, Alex.
Jennifer.
Fine, no. Suffer.
I do. Happy Sunday.
Same to you.
Jenna, I know you
I
don't
got
build
chop
any
the food.
project.
Ah, God.
They can hear me.
You say what?
I said I know you have built
I can
many.
hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
I said you have built many projects
Say
now.
it.
I said you have built many
My
projects.
network is bad. You can hear me.
I can
It's
hear you
just
loud and
fluctuating.
clear. Goodness, are you here?
Just what were you saying?
Jane, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
I said that I said I know you must have built many projects. So
Amen to that.
you laugh here, I will beat you. Bejeno, have you been writing JavaScript code on your project?
Um, hey, no. Sorry, I didn't get your question.
I said, have you been writing JavaScript code on your projects, like functionalities? Can you hear me? Oh, Jeno, I give up. Network.
The HMS project that I'm on, it's guys, is so majorly Tailwind, major Tailwind and HTML. Right? Yeah. I'm not gotten to the JavaScript part.
Okay, I see.
And then I now miss that Raja
Hello.
class, so on that website I was doing.
Okay.
Can you
Yeah,
hear
you
me?
guys will continue later.
Hello, can hear
Yes,
you. Continue.
I'm back.
Hello. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, one thing that we'll notice now in this outer function, the outer function has this variable and this function that does something to this variable or uses this variable in some way. Either way, it has access to this variable and uses it. And then this outer function is returning the inner function, which means if you call this outer function, what it's going to return to you is another function that you can call. And when you call this function, you are making a change or you're making something happen inside that single instance of this outer function. Does that make sense?
I
When we
understand.
call this inner function, or rather when we generate this inner function by calling this outer function, we only called outer function once. So we've created one instance of this outer function. But we can keep calling this one to keep on making changes to the insides of this inner function, of this outer function.
Okay, let's give an instance that you are not counting, doing counts. It's not because it's count now. That's why you notice that it's changing from 1, 2,
Okay.
3. Check again.
Yeah.
Don't do a block count as if you're counting. Just do
Okay.
a normal function. You're not counting.
Okay. In
You
that case, let's
get
do something else then. Let's create something. Let's say um maybe let user be equal to null. Okay.
okay.
And so this one is going to be, shall we say, set username.
Okay.
And this is going to take in a name, and then is there a need for it to let's assume it doesn't return anything. We'll just say
If it doesn't, you have to log something now. You have to return.
not necessarily. Not necessarily. We're going to have another function that is going to return user. So after doing anything, after using set username, we can now call that get user function to see what is inside user at that time. Okay. So count, instead of count, we say user. Sorry. User dot name. Yeah. Let me just comment all of these out. this one to, I'm just going to make it return an object, and inside this object there are going to be a few functions, like set username, something like that.
When you say user dot name,
Yeah, it's null already. So let me do something. If uh if not user, then user is equal to an empty object. So at this point, we can now happily say user.name. So user.name is equal to name. That's that. So we'll also have this function get username, right? Or just get user. So this is just going to return user. Here we're going to return set username and get user. Nice. So if we call this, and now we have outer function is returning two things. So, and they're inside an object. So we can just destructure like that and get them. So set username and get user. So now if we were to say get user, we get null, right? Because at the beginning user is null. But if we decided to see how it has already changed. So set username, let me say the I guess this one doesn't really need to be in a console log. But the closure here now is that we are accessing these functions that have access to a variable or variables or functions, things that originally from this point, from outside outer function, we shouldn't have access to those variables. But because of these inner functions, these things that are being returned from this outer function, we now have access to them. Suddenly we can make changes to this user variable here, right? Because this function returned some inner functions that have access to this. So these inner functions are called closures, right? That's why you see their definition here.
Okay, I have a question. Wait.
Yeah.
Check the example that you gave. Go back to that
Yeah.
example. That condition that you wrote, not user, you should return not user. I don't understand that thing that you wrote. What's the meaning of that condition?
What do you know is not?
Not is when is like it's force of what you want it to be. Like for instance, user is equals to none. Are you saying that if it's not null, if it's not null, I'm trying to understand the code. User is equals to object. I'm trying to understand the code.
Not. This thing is not. And basically what it means is just inversion. It's Boolean inversion. So
I know.
if the value in front of it is truthy, then it's going to return false. Console.log var1, we get this. But if you put a not, you get false.
Okay.
Console.log var2 is undefined. You put a not, you get true. So if the value of user is a truthy value, this thing will make it false. And you
Yeah.
know that conditions, all that matters to them is whether the thing inside here returns a truthy or falsy value.
Yes.
If it's a truthy value, this code will run. So if I said if user, then I'm saying that if user exists, if user is a truthy value, then I want this thing to run.
Yeah.
But if I'm saying if not user, it means is
A
if
false
user is
value.
currently a falsy value, then this thing will now make it positive, truthy. Then that's when I want this to run.
Okay.
So I want to do user.name, but you already know that user starts out as null. And if user is null, you can't say null.name. You're going to get that very famous error. Cannot
Yes.
set properties of null.
Yes, know that.
So I had to do this. So that the very first time somebody is trying to set name and user is null, just make it into an object so we can add properties to it.
Okay. That's why you now added, I understand.
Yeah. So essentially, this is just the essence of the closure. You have a function, you have something happening inside the function, some variables, some whatever, and then you have some other functions that have access to those variables inside the bigger function and do something to it, either return it, change it, manipulate it in some way. And then the bigger function returns those smaller functions. So by calling, one instance, by creating one instance of that function, you get access to those inner functions and maybe variables. And so you can now use them and do things, make changes to happen inside that one instance of this function. That's basically this. So it's a helpful thing sometimes, but let's see what more these guys have to say about it. Okay, so let's look at this other function, this other situation that we called. I think we'll change this from being outer function. Let's call this person function, user function. So in this new outer function, again, we have count. Count is 0. And we have this function +1 that increases count and returns it. We have a function -1 that reduces count and returns the new count. And we are returning two things. We're returning an object with two things inside, +1 and -1. So it's returning them as properties. Yeah, so if you say +1, it's just going to make this call. I don't know if you get.
Getting you.
Yeah. So at any point in time you want to add one, it's just to say
It's supposed to be increasing. Since you're counting plus plus. Are you there?
Yeah.
So why is he returning the same thing?
Let me see. Okay. I see. I think I get why. It called this function one time and put it here. Call this one time and put it here. So every time you call this, it's still the same thing happening. So if you don't want, to be stuck on one thing, then you just return the the function reference itself like this, and then you'll be calling it outside. So you call this, you get 1. You call this, you get 2. This goes down again. Yeah, that's really the annoying thing with what's it called? With closures. Returning variables is usually a bad idea. You get something static, it doesn't really change. But when you return functions, you can now be getting change, because the functions, if you return a variable, the variable would just show you what happened at one time. If you call it again, variables they're not flexible things. If a variable was created here, for example, if we return count as well, yeah, and you even at this point you console log inner funcs dot count, you will see 0, because at this point when this thing was put here, count was 0. So even though +1, -1 have changed it, this is rigid, this is fixed. So if you want to be keeping track of a particular variable with closures, something like that, you need to have a function like what I did here, get user, that will just return the current value of that variable. Because if you just returned user here, you would, if you try to check the value of user, you would always see null, because it starts out as null. By the time we put it into this object, it was null. So forever is null. But with a function that will return the current value, then you get in something current. So using closures, you just have to be using functions. Wow, this is what they put here.
Definitely.
That's serious.
But when you want to solve problems on closure,
Yeah.
Is it going to be? Though I've not seen any problem, I can really. Because when I read it online, it was a very clear, straightforward explanation. But I don't know the application yet.
Okay, the application of closures.
Like when can I?
When can you use it? Okay, imagine this situation. Closures. Well, the first time I saw closures, one thing really hit me. For people that have started React, in React, it's very common to see something like this.
Okay.
Const, maybe, let's just call it state. State, set, set state is equal to use state something. Maybe we can say 0 or something like that. Obviously, we're going to get this error, use state is not defined, because, JavaScript don't know no use states. Use state is say React something. So essentially what this is whenever you call use state with a value inside, it's going to return 2 things for you. The first thing is state, and the second is set state. So state usually starts out as this thing is you put in here, in this case 0. And set state is a function that you can call and pass in a value, and it would change the value of state. You get what I mean? That's it. Really, that's it. That's how it is. So doesn't it feel kind of like this? Like this set username and get user.
Mm.
It feels kind of like it, doesn't it?
Mm. So it's basically in React that we can use this closure.
Not really just in React. For
Okay.
at least this place, you see something that looks like closure.
Yes.
I'm not quite sure what goes on under the hood in new states, right? Because if you try to do something like this with just regular closure like we've done, it will not work. Because as it happens, this state is a variable and this one is a function. But if you try to do this, get some kind of, let's say, over here now, we didn't return this in an object. We returned it in we returned it in an array. Maybe um, user and set username, something like this. Like from what I told you, user is always going to be null, no matter what you do. If you wanted this to work out well, then you make it an option, a function, like get user and set user, that kind of thing, and then you get what you want. But in React, this thing is not a function; it's just a variable. But in any case, I still have found quite a good use for closures, even outside React. Whenever I'm writing vanilla JS, I do something closure-like to be able to use modules very well. This is what I mean. We have this index.html. So let's say we have, let me call this module 1. So let me create a file and call this module1.js. Okay. And we'll have another file called module2.js. And then yet another that is called main module.js. Okay. So inside our index.html, we're only going to import main module. Main module.js. And since we want it to be a module, the kind that you can be doing import between 3 of them, we have to add this type module. Okay. So in module 1, we're just going to say this const. We're going to create, do you remember, what's that thing? IIFE, immediately invoked function expression.
Which one?
Functions that call themselves immediately.
Self-invoking function.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah. Let me say export const, what do we call this? Module 1 is equal to this. We could just say const module 1 is equal to this. and export defaults.
That export will it work here? Oh, it's
Yeah, it
only
will,
using.
because we've made it a module, it's going to work.
Okay. Because I saw it
So
in that reacting.
yeah. So here maybe we create a function called const init is equal to this will do something, and here we return init because we may want to return more things. So it's usually return it in an object. So now we have init. I want us to also do something. Let's say init is just going to console log what now? Module 1 initialized. Okay. So let's create another variable. Maybe call this state because it's fun to do that. So const state is equal to I want it to be an object. And let's just give it a number. So maybe count. Count is an object, so count is 0. Then maybe there will be a function as well to set states. So let me say set count will just be let's just say num. Or let's leave it blank. And do what we did before. So a random number, random num, math.floor. Math, that's nice. Add.random times 11. So we're getting 1 to 10. Sorry, 0 to 10. So we set state dot count is equal to random num. Yeah, just this. So anytime you call state set count, it will just generate a random number between 0 and 10 and set count to that. So we're also going to pass set count and states. Okay. And all this is happening in module 1. So in module 2 now, to make things faster, I'll just duplicate this. So this is module 2 and module 2. But we're not going to have states or set count here because I just want you to see that with this, we can, from module 2, we can make changes to module 1 and
you have to remove that set count from the functions. You not put anything there in line 10 and 11. Are you there, Edward? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Eddie, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you, but I don't.
I can hear you now. I don't know why my
Okay,
phone
okay.
just left the
I could
meeting.
not hear anybody before.
Okay, where did you stop
Okay.
hearing me?
No, I'm just seeing your screen that is showing. It's not showing the code. It's showing stop sharing. It's not showing the code. So I was saying that since in this our function for module 2,
Yeah.
you did not write anything. If you go to line 10, there's no function for set count and state. I'm asking that are we going to remove it?
Yeah, I'm going to remove it.
Yes, and that's what I was saying. You should leave in it.
Okay, so I'm going to import.
This thing is like reacting.
I suppose. So I'm going to
Because
import from. I don't need from this from module one. Module one.js. This is the crazy
okay,
thing. If you're importing in vanilla, you must put this .js. Importing in
okay.
React, you'll find out that you don't need it to put this dot, but in vanilla, you must put the .js. If not, you'll be wondering why it's not working. It's a very painful thing. Oh, that's right. It was a default export. So just module one from module.js. So now init, let's say it's going to do this module 2 initialized, and then after 4 seconds, it's going to what's it going to do? It's going to set count, sorry, for module one dot set count. And then log module one dot state. So essentially we have a function over in module one, and we're going to be using it over here. We'll be making changes to the same variable. So now all these are going to be started from here. Module one from module one. See the anointing. It will not put the .js for you.
Okay.
You have to put it yourself. Module 2 from module 2. And then we'll just initialize them. Module 1 dot init. And module 2 dot init. So you can remember the flow of things, right? We're only importing main module into our HTML. What main module is doing is just initializing module 1 and module 2. Module 1 is just going to log this when it's initialized. In state, count is 0. Set count is just going to generate a random number and set state to that value. And in module 2, it's importing module 1. So when it's initialized, it's going to say module 2 initialized, and after 4 seconds, it's going to call set count from module 1 and log states from module 1. So So we got this module 1 initialized, module 2 initialized, and count is 5. Uh, I think we should do something a little bit more. Let's have a button. So this button is just going to be change number value. And we're going to have a div that is just going to display the number value. So let's give it an ID of value. And this one will be ID of set value. Okay, so in module 2, we're going to get these two. Although this one we're doing now is more of DOM manipulation. So const value, we're getting that div as a variable. Document dot query selector value, and document dot query selector set value. Okay, so you already know hash and dot, right? Class name, sorry, ID and class name. At least from CSS, you've experienced that one.
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, so it also works here if you're using query selector. If you're using query
Mm.
selector, you have a lot of freedom. You can write,
Class
I guess,
ID.
just the way you would have written it in CSS to target a particular element or group of elements.
Mm.
You write it like that here inside these quotes. But the thing with query selector is that it's only going to pick the first one it sees. The first one that
Okay.
meets this.
Mm.
But if you said query selector all, then it would select all that meets whatever you're writing here. All that match that.
Okay.
So this is our div, this is our button. So imagine we had a listener, right? Sorry, not const. Just set value btn dot add event listener. So every time we click this button, so the event is click, one click. Let's do this. We want to do this. Module.set count, module1.set count rather, and then change the value of set value btn. Sorry, change the value inside this value. Change what is going to be written in here. So value dot HTML is equal to module1 dot state dot count. Of course, when this is initialized, we would also like that to happen. We would also like value to show the current value of that state. So we're just going to do this again. I think it would be nice to give this some styling. Maybe this should just be main. So main is going to have what? It's going to have width of 100%, and let's just make it height. Height of 100 VH. Display grid. Place items center. Yeah. Font size, I want it to be big, so 30px. Well, as for value, I'd like it to even be bigger. Value, what's that thing called again? Text align, center, and a very much bigger font size. So maybe 56, 64px. Font weight, 700. Okay. Wow, they're very far apart. All the same, we can see them, right?
I'm seeing your web. I'm trying to understand. You know, we wrote many things. I'm trying to understand why you wrote those module 1, module 2. I understand the HTML and CSS parts.
Okay. Okay, this what I'm showing you now is the advantage of this, of making it modules and using this.
Yes.
This 4 that is being generated,
Mm.
it's in a different JavaScript file.
Okay.
You think about it. It's in module 1, right? That's where we created states and set counts.
Yes.
Yeah, 4 is in module 1. But we are using the value of 4 in module 2, and it's constantly changing, and like everything is just fine and it's moving on.
Yes.
Without using, so that means currently in module 1, states.count is 2. And in module 2, we're able to access that value and even change that value. Like both of them are in sync.
I get you. You are trying to say since we've already defined it in module 1, you will still be able to use it since it's a
in module 2.
I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but I want you to go back to your code. What?
Okay.
Go back to the code. Okay. Go to the module, your main module, main module, which is like your app.js, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Imported JS1 and JS2. Okay, go to JS1. JS1. Okay.
So SS1.
No. Okay. I'm looking at the things because I'm trying to understand. Okay, we got this. Your state was a function which has counts inside.
Object.
Object, sorry, which has counts inside. Okay.
Yeah.
So then your set count is a function which is making use of that count which was already defined up. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
And that's what because if you check it, this your line 8 to line 11 is a closure.
Yes.
Because what I understand from what
it has access to a variable
Yes,
inside the data
variable.
function.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to understand based on everything you have
Exactly.
explained. Yes,
Count,
so I
set count is a closure.
yes, set count.
Init is a
Yeah,
closure.
the closure because it's using. Okay, I'm trying to correlate everything. So you now say that this state dot count is equals to a random number, which is what you've already defined here. So
Yeah.
it means that okay, I get you. What you're trying to say that whatever value we generate for this random number, will enter
Yeah.
inside this object. Sure, you
Yes.
get
Yeah.
when you enter inside it. Like for instance, if you generate, maybe if this thing should run. When you run, maybe you got 1. It's an example. If you
Yeah.
get 1 as your random number, it means that your count now will not be 1.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand that one. But you know this one does not is not doing a plus plus. So it's just changing the value of
Yeah.
count at every
It's just
time.
changing the value. It's just changing the value. Yes.
That one is clear. Good. So now you now said this const init is another function that is just returning a string.
Yeah. It's just logging a string. That's true. This is not a closure. It's just
This is a function now.
yeah.
This is a function
It's a function. I'm saying we can't call this one a closure because
it's not depending on
accessing.
any variable. It's not
Yeah.
accessing any variable. Yes, I
Yeah.
understood that one. I get that one clearly. Sorry. Oh, why my own have? Okay, good. I understood that one clearly. Okay, good. Oh, okay. So move. Let me see what you returned.
Yeah. I
Okay,
returned an object with these 3 things inside.
So you are not okay. You are not returning all the things that you have defined inside the function. You know that there's a this is a self-invoking function. All these things that you put inside now,
Yeah.
you have returned all of them. I understood that part clearly. So now go to this is for model 1, model 2.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand that one now. Okay, model 2. You now said, okay, this is where you now put the HTML. You now
Yeah.
say, yeah, this one I know. This code that you wrote here is not really. I don't really.
Yeah. These 2, just bear with me and ignore them for now.
No, I understood DOM manipulation small. I understood what you wrote in line 4 and line 5. I
Alright.
understood. Yes,
Okay.
I know that you are trying to access your tags. Your this one is for
These
ID.
elements. Yeah. These
This
elements.
value is for an ID. In your HTML, there's an ID called value.
Yeah.
So you are trying to give whatever this const value now will represent whatever that is there.
That
I don't know
element,
what that element. I don't which element. Let's go check your HTML. Let me see which. I'm trying to understand. Check the HTML. Let me see which one did you give value. Okay, good. Is the button.
This div.
Okay,
No,
div.
the one that shows the 0. Yeah.
Oh,
That
okay,
shows the
the
number.
counter. Okay, I understood. Okay, which is this div? Okay, if you go back to the model 2. Let me see. Okay, I understood that one. Then this set value, which of your element did you give this ID? Is it the
It's
change?
the button.
Okay, the
Yeah.
button.
Change number value.
It's fine. I understand that one. Okay, go back to the model 2. Okay. Then now this now said console.log your init time is going to return model 2 initialize value dot inner HTML.
Yeah. Sorry. I just wanted to move it down here. So I
Okay.
think at the beginning. Okay.
So I'm trying
Sorry,
to understand.
Let me just do this twice, so that it will start as 0, and then in 4 seconds, when this one changes, it will also change with it.
But if you check it, this is your const init. Okay, the function, there's another function inside again, which is the set timer.
Yeah, just a set timeout.
I'm trying to understand. Okay, you now say value dot inner HTML. That means you want to change. Okay,
So
we are
first of all,
changing whatever
I'm
that
setting the current value of count to value.inner HTML, so that at least you will see the 0 show up. And then in 4 seconds, we call set count to change the value of count in state, and then once again assign that value to this.
I understood, but what I cannot get is when you said you want to first of all make it you want to start with 0 value dot inner HTML is equals to module 1, which is what we did in module 1 dot state dot count, which was initially 0.
Yes.
Okay, I get.
Okay. So this now events listener. There are things called events. Moving your mouse, pressing a button, clicking something. So we want this to happen on a click event. We're adding an event listener for click events on this button. Every time you click this button, every time you click this button, this function should run.
Okay.
Yeah, and what the function does is just call module1.setCount, and the new value of states.count, put it inside this div element.
I get. Maybe when we do DOM and pressure, we'll now understand all these things very well.
Yeah,
But I think I've seen this set value dot count. I've seen this click event listener before.
Okay, so let's go check it out once more.
Okay.
Start this. So it starts out at 0, and in 8 seconds, blah 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 blah.
Only it will just change again after 8 seconds.
It will change because that's when that set timeout will now run.
Okay.
So from then on, anytime you change this,
But you are not even clicking itself for it to change set.
No, I'm clicking. Okay, it's not big enough. Let me make it bigger. Yeah, I was clicking on it. The button is very small.
Okay, so every time you click, it will wait for that 8 seconds before
No. The 8 seconds is just one time. It's just a one-time thing.
Okay, that's where. Okay.
Font size, I don't know, 40px.
Maybe I'm the one that is not observing the clicking for my own end.
That's why I tried to do this active.
I'm seeing the button, but I'm only seeing that your cursor is moving. But when you click something, I will know. I'm not seeing that movement of the key. But it's fine. It's only you that will notice it. Me that is viewing it, I will not see it.
You can log out something in the console so that you know that you clicked something.
Yeah, but is it not active for when something is being clicked?
Me that is
No,
viewing
you can
from here.
change the color now. The color can change when it is active.
The color can change. Am I missing something?
Color is not changing.
That pseudocode is he get it very well? Pseudocode. You double, you know double.
Double is usually for pseudo elements,
Still
but
elements.
pseudo
Okay.
states, like active or hover is one.
Okay.
There's hover, focus, active.
Mm.
Active is supposed to be the one.
Oh, check hover. Let's be sure that hover is working.
Yeah, let's sit down.
Okay.
This is
This one is
serious. Hover is
showing.
working.
This one is showing where I can know that when you are on it.
So what's wrong with active? That's troublesome. Okay. Anyway, let's use our remaining time to look at coring. I assume closure is not a problem. Okay, yeah. One more thing to talk about in this. Let's go see something. So, what have you noticed? Yeah? Yeah. You remember when count was just a primitive value? It was just a number. This thing showed 0 here. But now count is a non-primitive. It's an object. Seeing that the value is updated.
Yeah.
Let me show you what I mean. It changed.
Yes.
Given what you know about primitives and non-primitives, why do you think that is? Why do you think that when count was just a primitive value, just a number, started out as 0, when we returned it, it was static. It never changed. It was just 0 forever, no matter what you do. But now that count is an object, when we log the value, we see it changing. We do something different, it will update. Why is that?
I think it's because of what that closure that is there now.
No, it's not because of the closure. It's something specific to primitives and non-primitives.
Yeah, the thing is, objects are reference in
Exactly.
The now one is reference and should I explain it?
Explain
No. Okay, yeah, explain.
Okay, like now, object is if you get an object now, it's pointing at that object. If you get an object now, you refer to that object now, it's pointing at that object. So whatever you do to that object now, whether you come in that place, the value will change, but it will also be affect that change.
Okay.
Some is it immutable or no? When it's not mutable.
Yeah, primitives are immutable. Anyway, so yeah, just like he was saying, for non-primitives like arrays, objects, they point, this variable you see is pointing to a reference, it's pointing to a location in memory. So essentially, inner func.count is pointing to a location in memory, and this count that is created here is pointing to that same location in memory. So it will always keep up to date. But if you just said count is equal to 0 and return count, you are returning the value that is currently stored in that count. Meanwhile, returning count here, while count is a variable, is a non-primitive, an object, you are returning a reference to a location in memory. You see the difference? With this just being 0 or just a string, you are returning a value, a rigid static value. But with this being an object, you are returning a reference to a location in memory. It's like you have a bank account and currently there is 10,000 naira inside. You giving somebody 10k at once, it's like there being, a primitive value like a number or string here. So returning it is like giving out that value, that 10k at once, immediately. But returning, or will I say, returning an object is like giving somebody access to that bank account, like the ATM card, the login details, whatever. So at any point in time, whatever is currently inside that bank account is yours. If they remove all the money inside, na 0, that is yours. They put more money inside, that more money is yours. Something like that. That's the difference between. So that's why over here, we got away with passing this as a variable, and it was still changing because this wasn't just a value. If we had said state is equal to 0 and we come over here and let's say state is equal to random null, those other places, module 2 would not be able to see that change. It will still be saying 0.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can jump to Korean. Mm, 2023. Anyway, let's see what our LinkedIn guy has done. Okay, so Korean is a functional programming technique that involves breaking down a function that takes multiple arguments into a series of functions that take one argument each. It creates a chain of functions where each function returns another function until the final result is achieved. So advantages of Korean: reusability, because instead of having one function that takes in 3 parameters and returns one result, you now have 3 functions, right? So you could choose to use only 2 of the functions, and so 2 of the parameters, and ignore the last one. You get that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, also you could, let me see. Korean breaks down a complex function into smaller reusable units. So each Korean function focuses on a single argument, making it easier to understand and maintain. And these smaller functions can be reused across different parts of your code base. So you could take the first one that just has only the one argument and go use somewhere else. And still, for that situation, that process that you need 3 of them together, you use 3 of them together. And then there's partial function application. Say you are multiplying 3 things. Let me say height, length, breadth, and height to get volume. You could decide to only use 2, length and breadth. the first two, multiply them together, ignore height. That's partial function application. So code composition, of course, if you have smaller pieces, you can be able to mix and match to get a varied, will I say more variety of something, rather than just having bigger pieces. So simple currying in JavaScript. I suppose this is that's the annoying part. Anyway, let's go look at this function. It's a simple function, right? It's just add. It takes in 3 numbers and then returns the sum of those 3 numbers. So function add, we have num1, num2, and num3. So it just returns num1 plus num2 plus num3. So if we try that out, oh, it's 4:30. See, this alarm was a good thing after all. But now some people no go show up. So I'm going to send, what's it called? The attendance form here. It will just take 2 minutes to fill it. All right, the link is posted. So let's just take 2 minutes, fill that, and we'll continue. So they're using. Are you guys not feeling it? Hello. Yes. Okay.
Yes. I
Yeah,
feed my own.
using any other person, one more person with the confirmation, so move on. Don't you? Okay. Yeah. So regular function. But now let's look at the function being like this. So we have add that returns, an unnamed function, returns an unnamed function, and we end up here. So we have function query adds that is going to return a function with num2. And that one is going to return a function with num3. And this one is going to return num1. Sorry. Plus num2 plus num3. So you can see why querying is treated in closures. Right? It's kind of like an application of closures because we have a function inside a bigger function that can access access something from the bigger function. Both this one and this one are doing that.
It's not looking like a callback function.
It's not really a callback. Callback functions are passed as parameters.
No, not callback. There was an example that they cited in that. Is it higher order function? Something that is returning a function. I'm trying to remember something. No, don't worry. Let me not distract. Distract.
So query add with 3. 8. 7. It's going to give us 18. Yeah, but breaking it down into any other piece is just going to return a function. Like you see here, it's showing this f num2, but for Coca, it's going to return that lambda sign. That lambda sign means it's a function.
But if you check, you said that you can pick a section of it to use elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
But if you check this, your last, for instance, now you omit one of the, maybe you not put 8. For instance, this your query add, you just say 3 and 7. You did not put 8. It will not give you anything now.
It's still a piece of a whole. This is one use of that. Here we have 387 that is giving us 18, right? Imagine we had two situations where we want to add 385 and 389. Then we could say const first 2 is equal to Corey adds 3, 8. And then cons plus 5 is equal to first 2, 5.
Okay.
And const plus 9 is equal to
S2 plus 5.
first 2, 9. So if we log those two, yeah. So like this, we've kind of broken this, separated it into like smaller reusable chunks. Yeah. So this query adds with just 2 things is returning a function. So at the end of the day, you still need them to be 3 to complete and get an actual answer.
Yes.
But now you can break it off, parts of it, and just like keep randomly.
Okay, I'm trying to understand that this please go back to that plus 5.
Okay.
That you got 16. Are you saying this first 2, it means 3 plus 8, which is 11, Abi?
Yeah.
Okay, plus first 2. Okay, the last one is now the okay, I understand.
Yeah, so it's just keeping those 2 values. First 2 is just holding those 2 values, 3 and 8, and waiting for the last one.
Okay.
So the current add 5 returns a function that will take the second number. Add 5, 10 returns a function that will take the third number. I don't know what he's doing with this one. Okay, add 5, 10, or result 1, 10. Okay, that's the or. Because result 1 is add 5. Result 2 is result 1 that takes in 10. So it's the same as, result 2 is the same as saying add 5 and 10 attached to it. So this way you can call the correct add function with each argument separately, creating a more modular and composable function. So this is the, what's it called? This can also be written as const query add is equal to num1, num2, num3, yeah. Is this confusing? This is writing it in with arrow form notation. Sorry, arrow function notation, and taking as many shortcuts as possible. So num1 returns a function that takes in num2, and that returns a function that takes in num3, and this one now does this, returns this. So essentially that is query. Yeah, so no problem with it.
said I will still go through it again. Thank God the class is recorded.
Okay. Okay, so
I
let's.
understand.
I understand it. Okay. So this is a good example of a use case for currying. So a real life use case of currying by accessing elements from an object. So we have a function that takes in object and returns a function that takes in key and then returns obj square bracket. I think this one does make a lot more sense. Yeah, so const. Let's just follow the example. They called it prop. So prop is equal to obj returns key, and that returns obj square bracket key. So if we had a user object like user obj is equal to name we could do this const access user is equal to prop user obj. So at any point in time, we want some property from user obj. We can say access user name is given. So this looks, this is kind of nice because, I mean, there could be situations where you have multiple objects and you want to programmatically pick an object and a key inside it. Currying could come in handy at that point in time. So there's still one more thing. What is infinite currying? So in the following code, we've converted the function to have infinite arguments using some recursive nature as well. This allows you to create an infinite currying chain where you can keep adding numbers as needed. And when you're ready to get the final result, you just call the curried function with no arguments to compute the sum. Which makes sense, right? Because the one we had before took three things. You can't just use one, you can't just use two, you can't use four, it must be three. So having that infinite one would certainly be helpful. So this is how it goes. So we have the function add that takes a number. It returns a function that takes another number. And then it checks if a second number is provided, it's going to return it's going to go back to the beginning. Start here. But if it doesn't, okay. Let's try that out. Infinite add is equal to, let's take it the normal way first, is equal to num1, and this is going to return And then this is going to check, is there a num2? If num2, then return infinite add num1 plus num2. Else return num1. I think this was it. Yeah. So going back to this 387. Infinite add 3. So if we want to get just 3, we call at any point. If we want to get 3 plus 8, add 8 and then call. Yeah, so this one actually makes it so much nicer. Makes it really flexible. If you want to add even more, 8, 7, I don't know, 23, and then you call. Right? Kenneth, I think you should turn your mic off. Thank you. So this infinite way is actually even much more better. Actually for something like addition or multiplication.
I have a question. Why are you when you call the first function,
Yes.
which is this 3 is num1, right?
Yes.
So when you put 8, it's now num2. So
Yes.
it gave you 11. So what I want to understand is why is it giving us 18 when we don't have another num3?
Okay. So look at this. 3 is num1, right? And it returns this function that takes in num2. And what does this function that takes in num2 do? It checks, is there actually a num2?
You say yes.
If there is, then it's going to return a function. It's going to go back to the beginning. It's going to add those two numbers up and take it as num1 to start infinite add again.
Okay.
So now, at this point, we now have infinite add 11, and 7 is 7 is now num2, and num2 exists, so it's going to add them up 18 and waiting for num2. But this time around we called and num2 does not exist, so it's just going to return num1.
Okay, I understand.
I think going by this, putting 0 here should also, yeah, we'll still call it, because 0 is falsy.
It's a number.
No, because 0 is falsy, it's still going to return num1.
Okay.
Remember, this if is just checking, is num2 truthy or not? It's not checking, it's just, is it truthy?
Okay.
So that means putting 0 here would also make it to give a final answer. So, well, this is just a mix of recursion and coring. This is pretty nice. So I think that's that for closure and coring.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
For the class. I cannot wait for us to enter DOM. I think that is where
that's the real sweet part. That's the sweet part.
All these things that I have been doing since it's just like let me be seeing what we are doing.
Yeah. So people should be preparing your projects that don't have JS. Let's be using it to learn too.
Okay.
So that
maybe by that time I must have finished
But that day you can DOM 1 day is not enough to teach DOM now.
It's true that 1 day is not enough. There are actually 3 days for it. But
Okay.
DOM is one of those things that they can't put everything in those 3 days. Even 5 days will not be enough. So these are just the basic of the basics, and you have to go and keep finding the rest yourself because there are so many methods, so many listeners, so many different possible things you could do. So they only show you the, well, I say the most popular ones, most popular things you could do, and the rest is if you enter that kind of situation that you know.
Yes, it's true. Then there's another thing that I want to ask. You know that we have done one project before that we did dates where we tried to create that calendar. Like when somebody is filling a form, they will ask you your date of birth. You will not choose your date of birth. You set it.
Yeah,
Remember?
I guess so.
Can you remember, Eddie?
I guess so.
Eh?
I guess so.
Okay. What I want to because that's what I noticed is that date that they used to write date of birth. I just think it's too stressful. Why can somebody not just maybe there's a way the person will just not the normal, not that type that we did that day, but this one will just have a scroll down of all the year. You just pick the year that you were born and choose the month and choose the date instead of going to, because that one I was not I will clicking. I will enter 2000. I will click again till I will enter 1999. I will click again. It's too that
Wait. You were going month by month?
Uh-huh.
No, now usually all those let's put it safe. Usually those things.
It frustrates me. I say no, I cannot.
You can't be going month by month now. There's a nicer way to go about it.
Or maybe I do not know the nicer way. Okay, I think it's not even this. No, it's the one that we did for today's class. The one, that one you just pick only the today's date. So that one is easy. The one I am talking about is this code camp form that I feed. They said that I should feed date of birth. You now be clicking.
That's
It
the
should be
thing. I also feel it too. You must not be going month by month.
So what's the easier way?
So see, you were going like this, Abby. Up.
No.
Something like
This their own was not like that too. This their own was
but all the same, you were still going with the direction buttons or left.
the direction buttons.
So
Yes.
you click on this.
Okay. Okay, that one. Okay. I did not see that option.
And it's always there. It's always there. There's always a month and year something. This one like that. So you just scroll
And
up.
this one is easy. This is what I'm talking about. They should create something like this.
I think it's already created. This is the default calendar input for Chrome.
Okay.
Firefox is a different UI, but it's still the same functionality, and it keeps going. You can see this one. It's still in the middle.
And this one is good like this.
You keep going forever.
It's good like this. Okay, go to that code camp. This thing. Let me show you the thing that we're talking about. Go to the code camp thing.
Was it in the first?
I think it should
Was
be
it in the first part of the form?
Yes.
Code.camp.
Just check it first. Yes, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. You see the default.
Uh-huh.
There's the default one.
Okay. Before no did not show that typo.
No, it will always do that.
Okay, then I was the one that's wrong.
You probably didn't check.
I thought Because their own this is system own. The phone own is arrow left and right, not
Yeah, I think I also feel it on phones. Yeah, it's arrow left and right. You click
left
on the
and right.
month or the year. Either one of them is clickable. Preferably click on the year. I think their own year
That's
is a
what
bit
I
on.
just okay. I understand. It's fine.
Let
You
me
have
see.
stopped. I thought that I was the one.
It didn't show up here. This week.
Are you seeing?
Didn't show up here. Okay, let me see. Yes. Yes. It's still showing the browser. But anyway, that's basically it.
No, I get it. No problem. Thank you very much.
So
Thank you.